In this tutorial, we're going to build a scene. We'll start off by looking at how you can import objects into Quest3D. We're then going to look at how to use textures with an alpha channel. Then we'll move on to using multiple texture stages to create more interesting looking objects. We'll then look at using reflection maps, adding light maps to an object, and then finally using a walkthrough camera so we can navigate through our scene. We'll start by looking at how to import objects into Quest3D. Let's start this project by dragging the simple scene template into the channel graph. So now we've got our simple scene here, let's set the start channel, and what I'm going to do now is delete the two objects here because we don't need these for our project. Okay, so now we've got a good basis to start our project from. Let's have a look at importing an object. So if we go to File, Import, and we're going to import this X file here called Environment. Now this X file has been exported from 3ds Max. There's also export plugins available for other 3D packages which allow you to export to the X format. And the X format is generally the best format to use to import to Quest3D. For more information about exporting to the X format, please check out the Quest3D website. Here you'll find information and exporters for exporting from several different 3D modeling packages. So you can see as soon as we've chosen our X file, it's asking us to define a pool name. Now this is basically the name at which the group is going to be referred to in Quest3D. So let's call this Tutorial 03 and Environment. Okay, so now we've got an option, a dialog's come up giving us a load of import options. So let's have a look at a few of these. The first one you can see here, we've got load as single object or load as index character. So in this case we're importing an environment, it's not a character, so this is fine. Below that you can see we've got a checkbox which allows you to import your object centered. Now if you check this center model, basically what it will do is it'll import your model centered to world space. If you don't check it, it'll basically import it according to the coordinates you defined in your 3D modeling package. So if, for instance, if I exported this object at 10 units in the x-axis in 3ds Max, then when I import it into Quest, it will be 10 units in the x-axis in Quest3D. If we look down here, you can see we've got a few more checkboxes. Now one of these is just for defining a different naming convention which can fix some animation glitches. We're not using animation in this one, so this is fine. This is one that's specific for older Max exporters. Again, that's not relevant to what we're doing now. Something for Maya, and then this one here which is load textures from the same folder as your X file. So in this case we want to check this one because all of our textures are in the same directory as our X file. We don't want it to read the path names which are defined in the X file itself. So this is fine. Let's now hit OK, and then it imports it, and you can see we've now got our object here. Let's go and have a look at the group tree, and you can see now that we have two channel groups. We've got our start group here, which is what we just made from our simple scene, and then our new imported object is here in a separate channel group. We'll now look at how to use multiple channel groups. Now what we need to look at next is how you can link the two together, because we want it to be rendered from our start group, but at the moment it's in a different channel group, so you need to see how can we link the two together. Well, if we go to the other channel view here, this enables you to see two channel graphs in the same view. So if we go to group tree and literally drag our environment group into the bottom channel graph here, what you can do is actually just draw a link from our environment object straight up to the render in our start group, and there you go, it's already created a link there, and you can see a blue channel has now been created. Now this blue channel is a public channel, which means it's calling a channel from another channel group. So if we double click it, you can see basically it has the name of the channel which it's calling. In this case it's the environment object, and it also tells you which group it is calling that object from. and it's telling you this group has not been saved yet. We'll have a look at saving a bit later. So we've now got this sorted here. Let's go back to our big channel graph so we can see things a bit more clearly. And you can see now we've already got our object appearing here because it's being rendered. So if we just go to our perspective camera and zoom out a bit, you can see we've got some kind of an environment here with a sky sphere, a road, and hopefully a little building down here as well. Let's now look at setting the visual properties of our objects, first focusing on setting the emissive values for our object, and then looking at how we can use an alpha channel from within a texture. Now if we zoom in on our house, you can see that it's very black on some surfaces, and on others it's looking okay. Now that's because of our material settings. At the moment we're using no self-illumination and full diffuse lighting. So that means the direction in which our light is hitting a surface is looking nice and bright, but on anything which is facing away from the light, you get total blackness. So if we introduce a bit of self-illumination to our surfaces, we should be able to get it looking a bit better. So if I select all the surfaces just by using Shift and clicking, you can now drag our emissive slider, again holding down Shift so I can grab hold of all three of these sliders. Let's take this up to something around 0.4. You can see that's looking a bit better now. Still a slight difference in brightness as you'd expect, but it's not as extreme as it was before. Okay, let's zoom in on the fence here. Now with the fence, you can see that it's totally black where it should be transparent here. Now we do have a texture which has an alpha inside, so it has an alpha component. So really we should be able to see through our fence, but we need to set this up in Quest so that this surface is in fact transparent. So if we go to our Object 3D view, you can now select that particular surface by clicking on it, and I'm now going to go back to the Animation 3D view. And now if we go to Surface, you can see at the moment it has transparency, no transparency. So if we select the bottom option here, Texture Alpha, it means it's basically going to get the alpha component from the texture itself. So if we select this here, you can see immediately we've now got transparency and we can see through where the alpha component is. Now you can see there's another problem here though, in that really you should be able to see through the fence. You should be able to see railings through here, but it's not working, you're just seeing straight through to the other side. The reason that we can't see the railings on the far side of the fence here is that by default alpha will regard any part of the object beyond the alpha component transparent. So even though there are railings here which should be visible down here, because they are beyond this alpha component here, we can't see them. If we go to Advanced though and click on Reject Alpha Pixels, you can see this solves the problem. And now we can see the railings on both sides of the fence. We'll now look at using multiple texture stages. So if we select the grass surface by clicking on it, we can now check in the window here